Beetlejuice is ousted. Vallas and Johnson are in a runoff. This is a wild one. Mayor Lori Lightfoot of Chicago. Very, very unusual for a mayor who's already, been mayor for multiple years to lose the re-election. But Beetlejuice, somehow she made that happen. What happened? Let's get into it. Let's talk about this. Beetlejuice. She's gone. Let's do this. Make sure you head on over to our members only section. We've got content there that you won't find anywhere else. And it's because it's content that we can't show anywhere else. $10 a month. You won't be disappointed. We're dropping at least a couple of videos a week. It's good stuff. It's good stuff. I fully endorse it. Vallas and Brandon Johnson will meet in a runoff to be the next mayor of Chicago after voters denied incumbent Lori Lightfoot a second term, issuing a rebuke to a leader who made history as head of the nation's third largest city. Yeah, and then things really went sideways, didn't they? Things just got worse under Beetlejuice. And some of you may be wondering, why do we call her Beetlejuice? I don't really know, but some of you reference her as Beetlejuice, so I just picked that up and, we run with it. Plus, I like the movie Beetlejuice. Just don't say it 3 times, right? Don't say it 3 times. Valles, a former school CEO backed by the police union, and Johnson, a Cook County commissioner endorsed by the Chicago Teachers Union, advanced to the April 4 runoff after none of the 9 candidates was able to secure over 50% of the vote on Tuesday to win outright. So you got that in the first election. If somebody gets more than 50, that's your person, that's your man, that's your woman. If not, you got the 2 highest. So she came in third. What was, she was paraded around as just this great progressive mayor. She's going to do good things. I mean, she's got it going on till she got in office. And like a lot of these other mayors, it didn't work out as planned. Maybe it had to do with some of the policies and some of the direction we're taking cities in that don't necessarily, they're just not reasonable, are they? No. And that's what we're talking about. Talking about somebody who's unreasonable, got their asses handed to them, and they're out of office. I think that's fair. I'm okay with that. Lightfoot, the first Black woman and first openly gay person to lead the city, won her first term in 2019 after promising to end decades of corruption and backroom dealing at City Hall. Why are we always talking about first openly gay people? Why is that? Oh, so you're a woman and you like other women, therefore we're going to commend you for, what you do in your private life, which has nothing to do with what you do in office. Really? You know what I mean? Because we could be saying, this is the 5,290th heterosexual mayor to be elected. But we don't do that, do we? No, we just go down that. Openly gay. I don't know. I think we've gone down the wrong road here. It's like, hey, let's take people's attributes for what makes them good in office. Let's focus on that. How were her negotiating skills? Not good. How were her oral presentation skills? Speaking during speeches. She was kind of harsh. She was kind of unlikable. And she did stuff that made people cringe. And then the actual data behind the decision of the voters of Chicago, it basically, I think it was so hard to avoid that she had done a terrible, terrible job that this is what you get. So first Black woman, first openly gay person to lead the city, and she was terrible. She won her first term in 2019 after promising to end decades of corruption and backroom dealing at City Hall. How did that work out? It didn't, did it? She was terrible. But opponents blamed Lightfoot for an increase in crime that occurred in cities across the U.S. during the pandemic and criticized her as being a divisive, overly contentious leader. That is exactly what she was. She was contentious. She was contentious when Chicago needed somebody to actually be a leader. Chicago's got so many issues going on right now that I don't think one individual can't turn that back. Definitively, like in a couple of year period. Not going to happen, right? Not going to happen. But one individual can take a city down an even worse road. And that was Lori Lightfoot. That was our beloved Beetlejuice, right? So she's the first elected Chicago mayor to lose a re-election bid since 1983. I was in 8th grade in 1983. That's a long time ago. I believe Def Leppard was releasing Pyromania at that point in time. I mean, that's some history right there. 1983, when Jane Byrne, the city's first female mayor, lost her Democratic primary. Speaking to supporters Tuesday night, Lightfoot called being Chicago's mayor the honor of a lifetime. Well, Lori, too bad you effed it up so bad that in a heavily Democratic city like Chicago, they said, yeah, no, you're fired, right? I mean, that's literally what they did. But we kind of knew this would be the outcome. She was way behind in the polls on this bad boy the whole way through. I think the writing has been on the wall for a long time. And this is just kind of ensuring, oh yeah, this isn't the direction we want to go. Because how many mayors are you seeing now who are either supported by law enforcement or have a law enforcement background or are somehow heavily related? Because that's what people are worried about. One of the next podcasts I'm going to do is about how wealthy people in Los Angeles are paying up to $150,000 for a police trained dog, a canine. Because a canine, if you look at the cost to have private security on your home, because everybody's homes are getting broken into in LA and people are being shot and, robbed, and you've got a crime epidemic going on. And so people are looking at anything they can to make themselves safe. And so in LA, they're paying between $60,000 on the low end for a police trained dog, up to $150,000, I think it is, for a dog. Amortize that over the course of its lifetime. Well, how long is a dog? 15 years? So $10,000 a year. Okay. And double that for upkeep and probably triple or quadruple that, because you pay $150,000 large for a dog. You're going to treat that dog right. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, yeah. Little Johnny, don't worry about him. I mean, we made him for free, but the dog, yeah. Make sure the dog gets a steak tonight. Want him to have his energy for when that thief comes in. Dog bites him in the ass. Regardless of tonight's outcome, we fought the right fights and we put this city on a better path, Lightfoot said. I'm sorry, what? Read that again. Regardless of tonight's outcome, we fought the right fights and we put this city on a better path. I would say collectively the voters and citizens of Chicago said, no, that's not what you did. And here's what we're going to do. We're going to vote. Let's see. Lori Lightfoot. No. Anybody else? Who are these other two jokers? All right. Yeah. Yeah. Vote for that guy. She told her fellow mayors around the country not to fear being bold. Okay, but you lost your reelection. So maybe your boldness approach that got you into office, but you didn't have the staying power to do a second term, which is very unusual, very unusual. At his victory party, Valles noted that Lightfoot had called to congratulate him and asked the crowd to give her a round of applause. Hey, you're all done. Good job. You're all done. You're out. You're fired. In a nod to his campaign promise to combat crime, he said that if elected, he would work to address public safety issues. I think that is a blinding glimpse of the obvious, right? What are you going to work on as mayor? Well, we got a lot of crime going on here. We got some shooting issues. We got some, you know what? Let's just I got to remember where I am right there. Let's just take a look at Hey Jackass. Let's just take a peek, see what we got going on. All right. Year to date in Chicago, we've got shot and killed 82, shot and wounded 285, total shot 367, total homicides 87. And today is March 1st. You've gone through 2 months. You got almost 90 people dead, 367 people shot. I mean, the crime stats in Chicago somebody told me I needed to start following Baltimore because Baltimore is, starting to lead the pack in some of this stuff. They're just, Yeah, just crazy stuff going on. Some of these cities are. So we will have a safe Chicago. We will make Chicago the safest city in America, Valles said. I believe that is exactly what Lori Lightfoot said during her inauguration. We're going to make Chicago safe. And then it just got worse. It just got worse. Well, maybe when you engage the whole, defund the police and go down all those things, or you don't support your police. Oftentimes that was the case. Mayors knew that, supporting the whole defund the police thing. Even our mayor here in Seattle, Mayor Jenny Durkin, she never came right out like Mayor Ted down in Portland and, kind of schmoozed with Antifa and did all that stuff. Our mayor here in Seattle, she basically said, I don't think we really want to go down that road of defunding the police. Whereas a lot of other mayors just said nothing. And I think Lori Lightfoot was one of those where she just kind of, all right, we're okay with this happening. Yeah, city's burning. It's all right. It's okay. I mean, yeah. Johnson on Tuesday night noted the improbability that he would make the runoff considering his low name recognition at the start of the race. A few months ago, they said they didn't know who I was. Well, because they probably didn't. This is a third place guy, right? Well, if you didn't know, now you know, Johnson said. He thanked the unions that supported him and gave him a special shout out to his wife, telling the crowd, Chicago, a black woman will still be in charge. All right. Okay. Well, I mean, we just saw that wasn't necessarily a great thing, but I'm an optimist. We'll just have to see where this goes, right? Lightfoot's loss is unusual for mayors in large cities who have tended to win re-election with relative ease, but it's also a sign of turmoil in U.S. cities following the COVID-19 pandemic, with its economic fallout and spikes in violent crime in many places. It feels like it just feels like criminal activity out there is just insane. I'm going to do a podcast on the private channel because, the one you might be, the platform you're watching this on doesn't appreciate, what's happening out there. And anytime I really get into a real issue, you get the ixnay put on it. And there was an event that happened yesterday where a guy just came up and literally was fumbling around trying to load his gun, standing right behind a homeless dude, and then just literally capped the homeless dude from behind in the head. I mean, you got some crazy criminal activity going on out there. And you're going to need mayors who are willing to drop the hammer on this criminal activity. And unfortunately, in most of these cities, you've got a legal system that's gone way down the wrong road. You have district attorneys letting people out for everything. That's if they even bring them up on charges. And then the judges just basically, hey, I believe in you. You're a good person. We're going to let you out on probation. Here, wear this little anklet bracelet. I know you killed 3 people, but we believe in you. Somewhere down there, there's a good human being inside you. Enough of that. Throw people in jail. I don't care. You tell me you can't arrest your way out of it. That's fine. But get some of these knuckleheads off the street and give the rest of us a little bit of breathing room so that we can figure out which way is up and kind of maybe circle back to where we started before all of this, pre-pandemic, right? So many crazy things with the pandemic. Public safety has been an issue in other recent elections, including the recall of a San Francisco district attorney who was criticized for progressive policies. Notice how they don't name him? Isn't that interesting? This is Yahoo News. We don't really want to talk about that individual, but you've got, even in the city of Seattle, our Seattle city attorney is coming from more of a moderate position. I mean, Republican. It's just wild, right? Because people know, okay, what we've got going on right now isn't working. So we don't want to go full tilt and go full red here because that's in most of these cities, that's not a thing. But you know what the Republicans have been telling us this whole time about criminal activity and things getting out of control. Good Lord, going to say the quiet part out loud, and we're there. It's wild. The pandemic also may shape elections for mayors in other cities this year, such as Philadelphia and Houston, where incumbents cannot run again due to term limits. There are clear contrasts between Valles and Johnson. Those are the two that were number 1 and number 2 in the Chicago race. Valles served as an advisor to the Fraternal Order of Police during its negotiations with Lightfoot's administration. He has called for adding hundreds of police officers to patrol the city, saying crime is out of control and morale among officers sunk to a new low during Lightfoot's tenure. That is not shocking, is it? Not shocking at all. And we've seen the whole thing with the police departments. Nobody wants to be a cop. Simple as that. And yet so many folks who don't follow these storylines, they're like, where are the police? My store just got robbed. Where are the police? I pay good taxes. Where are the police? Well, there's not enough of them. There's not enough of them. So what you get is what you get. Right? So you just want to say, hello, McFly. Valles opponents have criticized him. It's a guy that's going to win. Valles opponents have criticized him as too conservative to lead the Democratic stranglehold. Ted Nugent. That's an epic song. Lightfoot blasted him for welcoming support from the police union's controversial leader who defended the January 6th insurrectionists at the Capitol and equated Lightfoot's vaccine mandate for city workers to the Holocaust. All right. Well, went down a couple of roadways there that we don't need to bring up the Holocaust anymore. We just don't. We leave the Holocaust alone. Just do, right? I mean, nothing good is going to come out of your mouth if you put Holocaust in there with anything else. Just leave it alone. And January 6th, leave that alone too. We need to get past that. We need to just march on. That has been a couple of years of just ridiculousness. The whole January 6th thing. Johnson received about $1 million from the Chicago Teachers Union for his campaign and had support from several other progressive organizations, including United Working Families. The former teacher and union organizer has argued that the answer to addressing crime is not more money for police, but more investments in mental health care, education, jobs, and affordable housing. All right, let's talk about that for 1 second. I don't disagree that we need more money for mental health care, education, jobs, and affordable housing. But yes or no, do I believe their money needs to be, more invested in that? Yes. I would say addiction services would be first, and then mental care, and then, the education, jobs, and affordable housing. Okay. I mean, we're always working on education, jobs, and affordable housing, right? So 2 biggest issues I see is addiction and mental health care out on the streets. And that's what's causing a lot of this. And the addiction is driven from a wildly, wildly successful drug industry that is, just running drugs right up our southern border. And they're getting here and they're killing people like my son, Brennan, who just passed away on February 18th. And if you want to check that out, I talked about that in depth. But he was taking Xanax and it got, trying to self-medicate. He was depressed at a point in his life where things weren't going the way he wanted. Relationship with the girl wasn't working out. He was super unhappy. We don't really know what took him down, but pretty sure it was a Xanax, a fake Xanny, and had some fentanyl, and it put him down. It just shut him down, or, some facsimile of that. We're not sure exactly. We won't know for 3 to 4 months till the toxicology reports come out. 3 to 4 months, I got to wait because the system's so busy because the drug industry is working so well. So I would say drug addiction services and mental health and housing. Yeah. But getting back to this whole thing, you got to address the crime that's going on out there right now. And those are long play things. Putting more money into mental health and addiction. You need some more cops on the street to make said citizens feel safe again. Unfortunately, those citizens in these cities, oftentimes they were just full tilt for defund the police. Oh, this is the best thing ever. Defund the police. Greatest concept. And then crime just skyrockets. You know what? Maybe that wasn't the best thing. Maybe Black Lives Matter just, maybe there was something to that where, it's just not going in the right direction, right? I mean, Black Lives Matter wants to, abolish the prison system, abolish courts, abolish judges, abolish borders, engage in Marxism, but then buy a bunch of homes, for wealth building, because Marxism, wealth building, what? Johnson has avoided the word defund during the race, and his campaign says he does not want to cut the number of police officers. But in a 2020 radio interview, Johnson said defunding is not just a slogan, but an actual real political goal. How is that working out for you? How's that working out there, sport? And he sponsored a non-binding resolution on the county board to redirect money from policing and jails to social services. If we had systems in place that had been proven to have a positive impact on reducing crime levels, and there was something other than policing, I would say, hey, let's take a hard look at that. But we do not have that within our system, right? So what you've got are police between you and the bad man. And I'm not talking about the orange bad man. I'm talking about the bad man out there that people in LA are paying up to $150,000 for a guard dog. A guard dog. Yeah. Crime was an issue that resonated with voters. Rita DiPietro, who lives downtown, said she supported Lightfoot in 2019, but she voted for Valles on Tuesday, saying she was impressed by his detailed strategy to address public safety. So it's a one in so many of these towns, in so many of these cities, it's a one issue deal. People are afraid for their safety because they're seeing it on the regular. Some dude's getting capped in the head. You got drug dealers running around. You got gangbangers just, shooting each other left and right. Do I need to keep going on? I mean, this stuff is pretty obvious, right? Except again, a lot of people, my store just got robbed. Where are the police? What happened? Where are they? They just don't seem to come anymore. There's no police presence. Well, that's because they are out on these calls of, you know what? Somebody died. Somebody got shot. Somebody, got in a brawl, all kinds of stuff going on out there. And if you don't have enough cops, they can only get to what they can get to. So the candidates all talk about what they'd like to do. She said, this guy actually has a plan. He knows how he's going to do it. Does he? Does anybody know how they're going to do it? What's so funny is that I keep seeing references to Rudy Giuliani and New York City, saying what a crap hole New York City was when he took over. Rudy Giuliani. I mean, he did drop the hammer, right? He was the right guy at the right time and the right fit. And he did work. And now everybody wants to look at him and say, oh, that guy's a weirdo. He was on that Borat movie. And what in the F was he doing there? And then he's been involved with so many things where you're like, you're getting the laptop, There's some sketchy stuff there with Rudy, but by and large, what Rudy Giuliani did in the city of New York speaks for itself, right? Lindsay Higardi, a 30-year-old paralegal who lives on Chicago's North Side, said she backed Johnson because he seemed like the most progressive candidate on issues like policing, mental health, and public transit. All right. So the progressive candidates have gotten you where you are with your terrible positions on policing, mental health, and public transit. Yeah. You need somebody that's going to take a more conservative approach if you're considering public safety in general. How about public transit? How about with just all the whacked out drug addicts riding public transit around? It's a known quantity now, right? It's a known quantity. Race is also a factor as candidates courted votes in the highly segregated city, which is closely divided in population among Black, Hispanic, and white residents. Valles was the only white candidate in the field. Lightfoot, Johnson, and 5 other candidates are Black, though Lightfoot argued that she was the only Black candidate who could win. U.S. Representative Jesus Chuy Garcia was the only Latino in the race. Guy with the name of Chuy, I'd be down for him. I mean, if he was close, if he was in the running, guy whose nickname is Chewy, I'm all for that. Speaking of Chewbacca, I was reading about Burt Reynolds and some of the regrets of roles that he did not take in his lifetime, and how he didn't win an Oscar because he posed nude in, I forget what magazine that was. It's like, Burt, you're showing off your schlong and then you're not getting the award. What are you doing there, Burt? But was he in Playgirl? I was little. Burt Reynolds, that guy's cool. And then, he didn't take the role of Han Solo in Star Wars. That was one of his regrets because he didn't like sci-fi movies. Burt, you made the wrong call. Back to our regularly scheduled program. Lori Lightfoot accused Valles of using the ultimate dog whistle by saying his campaign is about taking back our city and of cozying up to the president of the Fraternal Order of Police, whom she calls a racist. Well, at this point in time, I think you got to get rid of some of the distractions and really focus on what's important to people, and that's public safety. And you're not going to do it with somebody who's progressive about all the right issues. You're going to do it with somebody who engages the police more. I mean, do we have any other options here? I don't think so. A recent Chicago Tribune story also found Valles' Twitter account had liked racist tweets and tweets that mocked Lightfoot's appearance. Yeah, it's fair game. She's a politician. You can mock her all you want. It's okay. Racist tweets. Some of the stuff that I see as referred to as racist to me is so weak. It's like, really? You're going to call that racist? Isn't that more like just hurting your feelings? We're calling Lori Lightfoot Beetlejuice. Well, because it's funny. And some people refer to her as masculine. You know why? Because she was. And then people get their feelings hurt. They get their little feelers hurt. Valles denied his comments were related to race and says his police union endorsement is from rank and file officers. He also said he wasn't responsible for the liked tweets, which he called abhorrent. Twitter doesn't do anybody any favors, does it? No. People get in trouble from that. Tweets they sent out 10 years ago. It's like, you said this then. You took it out of context. And suggested someone had improperly accessed his account. Okay, well, if you didn't have a Twitter account in the first place, we wouldn't be talking about this, would we? Lightfoot touted her record of investing in neighborhoods and supporting workers, such as by increasing the minimum wage to $15 an hour. She also noted that the city had navigated unprecedented challenges, such as the pandemic and its economic and public safety fallout to protests over policing. She also said, we'll throw you in jail if you don't get the jab. Yeah. Lori, I'm glad you're gone. I'm totally okay with that. You were a waste of a politician. Let's be honest. Asked if she was treated unfairly because of her race and gender, Lightfoot said, I'm a black woman in America. Of course. I think she was elected because of her race and gender. And she was in the right spot at the right time and saying the right things. And everybody thought, you know what? It's 2019. Let's make this go. Until it became apparent that her policy on multiple fronts didn't really serve the city of Chicago all that well. Valles, who has led school systems in Chicago, New Orleans, and Philadelphia, lost a 2019 bid for mayor. This time, he was laser focused on public safety, saying police officers who left the force under Lightfoot's administration will return if he's elected. Well, you know what? I have read so many statements. Oh, gosh, darn it. Bouncing around here on the article. I need whatever. What was at the end of that article? I don't even know. Focused on public safety. That's what we need to focus on here, not me losing my article. Yeah. Laser focused on public safety. That's the gig that's going to get you into office right now. Right. And yet so many of these politicians went down that road of defund the police. Greatest concept. Why didn't we think of this before? Why hasn't this been introduced in the United States before? I mean, this is just a genius concept until it's not, right? Until you're in a position where you're like, public safety is number one. Laser focused. That'll get the job done. All right. So mayor dude who's going to be mayor person of Chicago. I'm glad this happened. And, I don't really follow mayor races across the United States all that closely, but she was just one that was so outside of the box and so bad that you couldn't help it. So unfortunately, Beetlejuice, we bid you adieu. That's it for me on this one. Thanks for being here. We'll catch up soon. Talk then. Bye for now.